Namaskaraha and welcome to our next session on yogic life. So today I want to, revisit a topic on food since we haven't talked about food for a very long time. So let's revisit about food. So we know that every object in this world is dominated by one of the gunas, the sattva guna, rajo guna, and tamo guna, and food is also not an exception. So it also, according to its intrinsic nature, is divided into the same three categories. So our body, the body of human being, is composed of countless cells. So the cells grow out of, air, water, light, and the food that we eat. So the nature of the food and drink that we take has an effect on the cells of the body, and also consequently influences the mind, the human mind. So that is why it is very essential that each and every sadhaka to be very careful in selecting food. Suppose a person takes tamasic food, so then what will be the result of that is, after a certain period of time, the cells of the body will all become tamasic, and they will exercise a tamasic influence on the mind. Right? The human beings therefore must select sattvic food. So when we take sattvic food, then what happens is that it leads to all the cells being sattvic, and then which in turn will produce love for the spiritual practice and help in attaining that equipoise, the psychic equilibrium, leading to immense spiritual elevation. Right? So the aura that radiates from the body is the aura of all the cells. Right? It is the collective effulgence of all its composite cells. So as a result of eating sattvic ahara and performing all the yogic practices, the cells of the body all become very, very sattvic. Right? So that is why naturally an effulgence emanates from these cells, creating an aura around the physical body of the sadhaka. Right? This is the reason why many pictures of Mahapurushas show them with a radiant aura. Right? So since the cells of the body are affected by the food and water, and the nature of the cells affects the human mind, therefore human beings should eat the diet carefully, right? Because the food and mind are closely related to each other. So any food item which is taken indiscriminately, whether it is good or bad, leads to mental degeneration. Right? If it is a bad food, it leads to mental degeneration. So the spiritual sadhaka must follow this dictum: ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhihi. Right? Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhihi, sattva shuddhau drivasmritihi, pritilambe sarva grantinam vipramoksha. So ahara shuddhihi leads to sattva shuddhihi. So only the food which is helpful in keeping the body and mind sattvic should be taken. So we know that the whole food plant-based diet that we talked about, with no salt, oil, sugar, and avoiding all dairy products, is the true sattvic ahara. And we also said that how much, eating more and more raw foods are very, very beneficial. Right? If you eat carrots or palak, all of that are very, very good. Instead of boiling them in hot water, and when you boil them, what happens in high temperature? All the nutrients in those, right, they die. So therefore we should eat live food. Right? They have prana. Food which has prana is extremely beneficial for the body. and also for the mind. The body will be very, very light. Digestion will be extremely good, right? We should avoid the tamasic ahara and rajasic ahara. They are not, the tamasic ahara is harmful for the mind, and they may or may not be good for the body. Rajasic ahara may be good for the body, but they're not good for the mind, right? So ultimately we said that we have to take the sattvic ahara. So in the world, when we look at people eat without knowing the intrinsic quality of the food, right? So in order to have a balanced mind and progress spiritually, we have to pay attention to the food that we eat, right? It is not that I will just do my sadhana and eat any food, whether it is proper or not. That is not going to help, right? So the store-bought products are all filled with synthetic chemicals, right? The big companies use marketing strategies to sell these processed foods, right, which are in fact devoid of nutrition, right? So how do we spot real food from fake foods, right? So farm to kitchen, real food comes straight from the farm to your kitchen. If it goes through a factory, then it is a product and not a real food anymore, right? So real food actually rots. That is real. If the food rots fast, then it is full of life, attracting microorganisms quickly, right? So we said all of that, and we said that if the products go out of sight, then they also go out of mind. So essentially, company products, they need to be thrown from your house, throw unwanted products, and go for real food, right? So there is no nutrition value from the processed oil, right? So also we said dairy products, we need to avoid milk, ghee and all, paneer and all of those dairy products because, they are causing harm to the body and mind, right? So the cow's milk is very, very heavy. It's a heavy food containing lot of growth hormones for the calf, right? We spend most of the time sitting on the chair, and our body cannot utilize these excessive growth hormones. So these hormones just clog the intestines and blood vessels, causing many, many chronic diseases. So keeping all these points in mind, we have to eliminate milk, right? So we talked about all of these, right? So now I want to ask you, Bhagini, were you able to implement any of these practices, and how is your sattvic ahara going on? And also any other yogic practices that we have talked about, like upavasa and vyapak soch and all of that. So how far you're able to practice?
No. See, food wise, not fully. I could not implement. One thing I have, what to say, only controlled that first out of the what to say, the sudden spurge in our tempers or moods doesn't appear right now, and I'm able to educate my son to be what to be like, and what that is, they are more they take more what the other, not sattvic ahar, tamasic ahar. So how to bring that one down, I have educated him. So in that process, I am slowly bringing down the method of cooking and all is different now. That I am able to do. But as
different in the sense,
like too much milk, I have avoided. Coffee, tea and all I have stopped taking. Then you said oil frying is, instead of using oil for splattering and all, you use straight away, you can splatter and use, and then if you want a little oil over everything, you pour like that. We used to fry and all, no, all those things I have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Only steamed foods
Mm-hmm.
and all I have brought into practice. Upavasa and all. What is it? Nirjala Upavasa I have not tried. I have not started it.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, very good, Bhagini. So you're saying uh, you haven't completely eliminated oil, but you don't heat it at high temperature. You finish cooking
Yes,
and then you pour a little bit of oil.
yes,
Is
yes,
that
yes,
what you're
yes.
doing?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
and then and what about salt?
Salt to some extent I put. If not, I mean, to the whatever I was having now, I brought it to 1/4 of what I'm doing.
Okay,
So
okay.
eliminating it fully, because see, when we think about what we have to give them both, my
Mm-hmm.
husband and my son,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm not able to take care of myself fully. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first I must bring them both to at least to half of what they were doing, no? Then only
Mm-hmm.
I can fully eliminate it.
Okay,
So still I'm not.
okay. What about sugar
Sugar
and
I'll stop. Sugar I'll
sugar?
stop
You're
completely. Yes.
okay, okay. Very good, very good, very good. And then the dairy products, milk and ghee.
Milk I stop. Ghee, what I do is I take only for the rice in the mornings along with all that sort.
This one, what you stop tea and coffee, that is very good. And then
Yes.
what about yogurt, buttermilk?
Buttermilk I take, because without buttermilk, still my body is not adapted.
Okay, okay, okay.
Trying to substitute it with coconut milk, but
Mm.
still I have that one heat-like sensation. No, that too. These hot summers and all, no.
Mm.
Buttermilk is a must. Still, I have not
Okay,
fully eliminated that.
okay. So, so what you're basically saying is that you've stopped sugar, coffee, and tea. You're not taking
Yes,
sugar, and then
yes,
oil. You're not heating at high temperature. You're just putting some after you finish cooking.
yes,
Salt you have reduced to 1/4,
yes.
and then milk. You don't take milk, but you take
No, I
buttermilk,
don't. Yes,
right? Okay,
yes,
okay.
that.
These are all very good improvements, Bagni. These are all very good improvements.
Yes,
Very good improvements. And also your thought process that first you need to fix the diet for your family, and then only you should fix for yourself. It doesn't have to be like that. You can
yes,
directly fix your diet. So you can try to eat more and more raw foods and see, right? You can experiment for 1 week. Try to eat more and more raw foods and see how you
yes.
feel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can do that, and then you can even if you're taking boiled steamed food or vegetables, you can take the steamed vegetables first separately for yourself, and then you can do whatever you want for your family, because you're saying
Yes, yes.
they're not still accepted this. So you don't have to wait for the day until they are all ready. Because you're ready,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
try to.
No, that and all I can do, because mostly in
Mm,
my food itself, no,
mm,
mornings, lunch, I I don't eat what to say, sambar or rasam. For as we
mm,
do here in South India, in Tamil Nadu,
mm, mm,
I take only vegetable rice,
mm,
vegetable cooked,
mm,
and I like to say, if I'm making beans or either kuttu, for example, kuttu or pori, I take
mm,
only this rice and curd rice. Whatever
mm.
sambar or I make, I only use it for what to say, அது தொட்டுன்னு சாப்பிடுறதுக்கு மட்டும்தான் அந்த மாதிரி.
Okay, 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 okay,
Usually
okay.
do that only. So now
Oh,
what I've done is I've included, because he needs protein. Proteins are more necessary. He goes to gym and all, no? So
mm-hmm.
definitely every alternate days I have some sprouts,
Mm.
salads.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
So,
Very good, Bhagini. Yeah,
hmm.
very good. So
Carrots and vegetables are a must. No, carrots we put,
mm,
beans we put, like that.
okay, okay, okay. So one thing I want to tell you about coconut milk. Coconut
Hmm.
milk as a replacement for dairy milk is actually not good. Coconut milk is very very high in saturated fat, right?
Yes.
So that is why it's essentially it's a bad food for us. So coconut is a bad food for us. It will increase your cholesterol, right?
No,
So
no, that means I don't include it in my daily this one and all. When
okay.
you see, when you make sweets, no, for payasam and all
Mm-hmm.
for our festivals,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of using direct regular milk,
Okay.
I put coconut milk.
Okay.
Coconut
Okay.
milk
Okay.
as such in all the dishes I don't use.
Okay. 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 That's what I want to make sure, because coconut,
Yes,
if you consume every day, it's actually harmful.
yes,
It will
because
increase your, yeah.
both of them are, my son is a little obese, so I don't use coconut milk and all like that.
Okay. 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 So very good, Bagni. So from where we left off last time, I think there is a lot of improvement in your diet, which is very very
Yes,
good thing. It's a positive sign. So you can
yes,
continue to work on your diet and see how you can eliminate, buttermilk, all of
yes.
the dairy products completely. So that is maybe your next challenge, right? Okay. So all good news, and then you're able to do. You said you're not able to do the Nirjal Upvasa. So I think you don't have any health issues, right, Bhagini? Hariom, you're there, Bhagini? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Right now I don't have any health issues.
Okay, okay, very good. So if that is the case, then you're ready to do the Nirjal Upvasa. You can try on a day which is convenient for you. Actually, Ekadasi is very good. It's coming
Yes, yes, yes.
tomorrow. Tomorrow,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
try. You can try, because you haven't done the full cleansing, right? You haven't done the stomach cleansing. So that is a very
No,
important process,
yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes. Yes,
Unless you do that one time and see, you don't know what you're actually talking about. So you should definitely try one time, do upvasa on Ekadashi, and if that is not convenient, on a day like a weekend or something, do upvasa for 36 hours, and then the next day you break the fast and do the
yes.
cleansing,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay.
So then that is how all the malas from the stomach and all you'll get rid of all that, right? There's so much of
Yes,
toxins in the stomach.
yes.
So that will be a good exercise for you next.
Okay, okay. Right.
Yeah. Okay, very very good, Bhagni. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So now we can actually go back to our pravachan. Uh, so also I want to tell you that I have actually uh, like started eating a lot of raw foods, right? Most of my diet, 95% of my diet is raw food. It's really very good. It keeps your body very light and very energetic, right? And also I feel the amount of work that I can do now compared to what I could do when I eat foods like cooked foods, right, like rice and all that. It's so heavy in the stomach, it makes you lethargic. With the raw food, you don't feel lazy at all, right? You're just active throughout the day, and also they're very very nutritious. So yeah, you can also try that. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay, Bhagini. So now actually let us go to our pravachan, Yama and Niyama, the one that we're talking about. So I just want to revisit this, and I'm going to explain a little bit, and then I want you to repeat what you understood, because it's very important, Yama and Niyama. So, uh, so with this Yama and Niyama comes a new element, the moral aspect of life, right?
Yes.
So 99%, 99.9% around the planet, if you ask people, they will tell you that they lead a moral life. And that is indeed actually true, right? It is true that they lead a moral life. The moral life that they are actually talking about is the simple morality, sahajanaitikata. And here in this pravachan, we are trying to make a distinction between simple morality and spiritual morality, right? As we go through this pravachan, we will see the difference. So, and morality should be understood in its simple form as well as the spiritual form, and a commitment needs to be made to follow the spiritual morality before learning sadhana, right? This is a much deeper concept than simple morality. Spiritual morality is a much deeper concept. So we'll be seeing that, and we'll be going into depth about this in the coming sessions. So on one hand, one has to make a commitment to follow it, and on the other hand, the spiritual morality is really something very, very deep, and it needs the sadhana to bring to its fulfillment. Right? One fulfills the other. Spiritual morality and sadhana, they go hand in hand. The commitment which one makes to learn and follow spiritual morality at the time of learning sadhana is a commitment to verily grow into the shoes which are too big, because the real fulfillment of spiritual morality comes when one is doing sadhana, right? So we are actually talking about as we have been seeing in the pravachan, we are talking about eliminating the tendency to commit theft, right? So that is just an example. People in general feel that they don't have the tendency to commit theft, right? But all of the different aspects, the 10 aspects of yama and niyama, the very tendency within the mind is accomplished through sadhana. One makes a commitment to it, and through the process of sadhana, the nature of the mind, the root nature of the mind is changed in such a way that the tendency to do various things which people do, even though they consider themselves to be moral, that very tendency is eliminated. So that is what we mean by saying growing into the shoes which are too big, just like a child of 5 years. Like a child of 5 years, when we purchase shoes a little bit big, right? For children, we generally purchase shoes which are a little bit big than their little big compared to little bit bigger, knowing that they will grow into it within a matter of months. So similarly, in spiritual life, we commit to things which are bigger than us at the time we make the commitment, which is a very beautiful thing, and we grow into those things by doing sadhana. So what is that spiritual morality which is different from simple morality? We will be seeing that. And so the nature of the mind changes the tendency which people have to do even small things which are not correct. That very tendency gets eliminated, right? It is not merely that one reminds oneself that one should not do that, right? What would have been a tendency or a desire to do such a thing is completely eliminated. Okay, so what stands as the basis of true spirituality, and what are the tenets of spirituality? There are 10. So we'll go through them, 5 in yama and 5 in niyama. So we started with ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. These are all yamas, right? So these are guided towards the outward relationship with the society. And niyama are shaucha, santosha, tapaha, swadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhana, right? So each of these has a deeply spiritual point on which the others rest.
Please repeat that. Santapa, tapaha,
shaucha, cleanliness, santosha, tapaha, swadhyaya,
santosha,
tapaha,
then
swadhyaya,
please tell again.
Swadhyaya, swasya adhyaya means self study.
Swadhyaya, okay.
Ishvara pranidhana.
Ishvara pranidhana.
So
dhanyawad.
Yeah. So in yama, brahmacharya is very, very important. In yama, brahmacharya is very important, and in niyama, ishvara pranidhana is very, very important. So they are two important of the Everything is important, but these are two most important. All of them are really very valuable, very important. So the reason these two are the most important is because they stand as the basis for the other 8, right? So we started on ahimsa last week, so we'll talk about that. So so far in the introduction part, Bhagini, tell me what you've understood. I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Definition of ahimsa is given in the first part.
No, I want you to tell me about the introduction part, about simple morality and spiritual morality. Are they same?
Okay, that is morality. Actually, morality is first very important for doing sadhana. So a person, 1 minute, okay. So when they follow morality only, they say that they follow morals, but they do not do it. They do not follow it properly. For example, a person who wants to plow the field feels that he himself will not do it because he'll be harming the insects in that this one. He'll make the some other person to shed their blood, then I mean not physically, to work hard and give him the produce, and he will be enjoying it from it. So he feels that he is having good morals and he is going forward, whereas actually he is not following the morals. So first thing is you should have that mental equilibrium to first follow the morals ourselves, and then only go into the first doing sadhana. And by doing sadhana they must first understand how to control themselves actually, and then go about thinking of the next process of doing things. So the first part we saw was about actually ahimsa only. So actually they said that morality is a static force, but this morality can disappear. For example, a person will think that he shouldn't take a bribe, he must go for example, when we go to the temples itself, standing in the line for a long time, it takes such a long time that we don't mind giving 1,000 or even 10,000 and then going forward, and which if used for some nice purpose it's well and good, but it is used for some other thing. So the person who is standing for a long time will always be standing. And one more thing, his morals also we will be destroying his morals of, he'll be standing in the line thinking of God. Once when he sees all this, no, by the end of the day his morals will go off. He'll be just cursing and thinking bad only instead of thinking of God. That is one first example I can very nicely say where people do not follow morals. Similarly, so many people, to get their work done, they somehow push forward in some means. I know this person, I know that person, for any work, not only in temples, for any work, and they go forward, leaving the people behind to suffer. All this are not or against morals actually. And we think that we are following some morals, but at certain places we also give up that morals, which is not going to help us in many ways. That is what I understood from the first this one.
Nicely said. Yeah, nicely, very nicely said. Okay. Yeah, that is the idea. So essentially, spiritual morality is different, and uh, simple morality is different. Simple morality, people everybody say they are moral, but the tendency to do wrong things is still there in them, because they may not take 10 rupees bribe, but if somebody offers them 20 lakhs or a crore rupees, then they may be tempted to take the bribe, because they have the tendency to commit the wrong things, right? The tendency is not completely eliminated. So spiritual morality is required to eliminate that tendency to do wrong things, that will be eliminated to spiritual morality. And spiritual morality is dependent on sadhana and spiritual morality go hand in hand. One will not be able to completely follow the spiritual morality without doing sadhana, right? Spiritual morality is essentially really big shoes for us, and we need to grow into it by doing sadhana. So, and also uh, we started talking about, in the yama we started talking about ahimsa, the first aspect. And right, ahimsa, we said it's a concept of not knowingly inflicting pain on others in thought, word or deed, right? So there are two main misunderstandings of the word ahimsa. So when we're talking about ahimsa, we need to know what is ahimsa and what is not ahimsa, right? People wrongly consider things which are not ahimsa as ahimsa, right? So the misunderstanding is that of not killing anything, right? Not killing anything is ahimsa, they think. So one cannot live without killing insects, right? If insects are going to cause malaria, right, so then we cannot survive. For our survival, essential to kill mosquitoes, right? One cannot uh, one cannot plow the soil, right, without you know harming the microorganisms in the soil, right? If that is the case, if we take an extreme definition of ahimsa, then one will not be able to even breathe, right? While we breathe, we are killing several microorganisms, right? The notion of wearing a mask to protect the microorganism is just a fiction, right? There are so many microorganisms in the air that has nothing to do with whether one is wearing a mask or not. Every time we breathe, there are thousands of things that get killed, right? If somebody gets sick and uses antibiotics, again, the bacteria which has attacked the body, that bacteria is getting killed by those antibiotics, right? So such things become impossible. Life becomes impossible to follow if somebody has a misunderstanding about what ahimsa means, right? Ahimsa does not have that meaning. The sense of ahimsa uh, is not to intentionally inflict pain or hurt on others by thought, word or deed. So when we take a breath, so we are not trying to hurt other people or other organisms. The intention is not to hurt. We have an essential right to exist, and so we'll actually be talking about this more. So every jiva has a right to live, and for human beings we have a right to live, and in order to survive we have to breathe, and as we breathe, insects, organisms get killed, right? So that does not mean that we are doing himsa, right? So that is the first understanding. I would say that's the first misunderstanding about ahimsa. The second misunderstanding is that of non-violence. Even if others attack you, even if somebody slaps you on one cheek, then you put forward your other cheek, right? This is complete misunderstanding of the sense of ahimsa, that we are not to hurt others, but if others attack us, then it becomes our duty to protect ourselves and also protect others who are attacked, right? Whether it is at the country level, national level, at the village level or the individual level, uh, right, somebody comes with a knife to your house, then you should pick up a knife or a gun if that is what you need to protect yourself, right? It's not that you're going to let the others harm you. You're not going to go and harm anybody, but if somebody comes to your house with a gun, then you have every right to protect yourself, and that will not be considered as himsa, right? So these are two main things, right? So there are so many ways in which it's impossible to avoid killing other beings just to exist, and doing so, breathing, using antibiotics, tilling the soil, these are all not against ahimsa, right? Because there is actually no intention to harm anyone. And the second being that if one is attacked by whomever, then one has a right to defend oneself, right? So that is what we saw so far, right? uh, throughout the world, this word ahimsa has been deeply profoundly misunderstood what the real meaning is, right? The yogis are not against the use of force, right? Shakti, here we're talking about shakti samprayoga. Shakti samprayoga is the right use of force. So the true sadhaka, the true human being, a human being in the human form, is not against the use of force. Every time we do anything in life, we have to use force, right? Every time we move, we are killing living beings. Every time we take one step on the ground, right? So without killing living beings, we cannot move forward. So if anybody wishes to avoid such things, then they'll have to kill themselves, right? Which is also an immoral act. So the main thing comes down to intention of welfare, right? Do we have the intention of welfare? So if you have an intention to harm others, then that is himsa. So that is what we have been talking about. So now let us actually uh, go forward. So we said manovakayaihi sarvabhutanam apidanam ahimsa, right? Himsa is not inflicting pain or hurt anybody by thought, word or action, right? So we have been seeing what is not ahimsa so far. Now let's actually move forward. So the champions of non-violence, I think we read that also, the last paragraph. Those who are not
bullet does not make the bullet non. Yes, we have seen that. Those who are not adequately equipped to oppose an evil doer should make every endeavor to gain power and then make the proper use of the power. In the absence of ability to resist evil, and in the absence of even an effort to acquire such ability, declaring oneself to be non-violent in order to hide. Little more up, beginning. In order to hide one's weakness before the opponent may serve as a political end, but it will not protect the sanctity of righteousness. So the person who is not equipped adequately to oppose an evil doer first should make all endeavors to gain power and then to make proper use of this power. So in the absence of this ability to resist evil, and in the absence of even an effort to acquire such ability, so declaring themselves to be non-violent to hide their weakness is not correct, but it will not protect the sanctity of the righteousness. It may have a political end, but it will not protect the sanctity of righteousness.
Yes, Rajni. So here, we have the right and indeed the duty to equip ourselves to keep ourselves safe in this world, because not everybody has good intentions. So those who are not adequately equipped should make every endeavor to make themselves equipped and prepared to defend themselves if needed, right? So what we are saying is that countries should have armies and cities should have police forces. The notion that this is not going to be needed in an ideal society is just a la la land, a dreamland, right? So the point over here, the important point over here is one does not want to spend the money, uh, you know, as a country, or one has some dreamlike notion that it's not going to be needed, and then tries to justify it by saying that they are following ahimsa. This is also not going to be appropriate, right? If one is not going to protect oneself, then one cannot depend on others to do so, and one cannot expect to be safe. It's not that we don't need a military state or that one has to, right? So we're not supporter of guns in the society, right? But the point is that a true human being is not against the use of force in order to defend themselves, and not only against it but also recognizes that there are people and forces out in the society who are dedicated to harm others, right? So for the welfare of the society and as well as for the safety of everybody in the society, we need to have adequate means to take care of people, to defend themselves when they are attacked, right? Okay, so let's go on to the next paragraph.
The meaning of the word ahimsa in the sphere of sadhana has already been explained. According to its correct meaning, one will have to guide one's conduct carefully to ensure that one's thoughts or actions cause pain to nobody and are unjust to none. Any thought or action with the intention of causing harm to someone amounts to insult. The existence of life implies destruction of certain lower forms, no matter whether there is an intention of doing harm or not. The process of respiration kills thousands of millions of protoplasmic cells, whether one knows it or not. In every action, such living cells are dying and being destroyed. The use of properly lactics means destructions of millions of diseases carrying germs. The crop-eating insects, parasites, mosquitoes, bugs, spiders, etc. are also being killed in innumerable ways. This is necessary to maintain one's livelihood. It is not with the intention of causing pain to them. Such acts also therefore cannot be classed as himsa. They are to be done for self-defense. So, the meaning of the word in the sphere of sadhana has been explained. Now, the correct meaning, in the correct meaning, a person should guide his own conduct carefully to ensure that one's thoughts or actions are not uh, hurt, and we don't make anything unjust. So this itself, we can say, a sort of himsa, but that we don't follow, whereas we feel that actually in the actual process, the lower forms, there are destructions, but it has to be done as a self-defense, like the very respiration of human beings itself causes death of certain small cells, millions of cells, which we are not aware. Similarly, the crop eating insects, the small spiders, etc., which are going to destroy crops, should be destroyed, and these are not termed as himsa. This is being done for self-defense. This is what is said in this paragraph.
Nicely said, Bhagini. So we have to we have to understand actually what is ahimsa, right? So nicely expressed. So this paragraph introduces another important point, which is that we talked about that in the beginning, that thought, word or deed, we're not causing harm to anybody, right? So what is thought here, what are we talking about with this point, is that uh, that by thinking you're not causing, right, because human beings are man pradhan jeev, right? We are our mind is predominant in human beings, right? So in contrast to any action, a physical action, right, even our thoughts, they have value, and what we think, right, by thought also we can try to cause harm to somebody, that also amounts to himsa. So existence of life implies destruction of certain lower forms, right? So in order to live, we have we unintentionally we have to cause harm to somebody, right? For breathing we have to kill some organisms, right? So the act, the animals act according to their inborn instinct, right? Their thoughts are not occurring prior to the action. Their action coincides with you know according to the instincts, given by prakriti. They don't sit and analyze things beforehand, whereas human beings do, right? So we always analyze before doing certain things. And if somebody has injurious thoughts that are going to harm others, then if they don't bring those thoughts into action today, but they will bring it into action tomorrow, right? So somebody, if they don't have the thought, then they will never do it. If somebody has a thought, then when they get the opportunity they will do it. So this sort of intention to cause, having the intention to cause others harm to others, is very, very important. This applies to all different aspects of spiritual morality. One should not have the tendency to do these wrong things. If one has no psychic tendency, no mental thought to do such a thing, then there is no possibility of it happening. If somebody has a thought, then there is every possibility of it happening, right? So that is the most important point, right? So right, so therefore it's important to understand what is himsa and what is ahimsa, right? So the insects and parasites and mosquitoes, they're all being killed in numerous ways, and it's essential for us to maintain our livelihood, right? Here we don't have any intention of causing pain to them, but that is essential for us to survive, and that is not considered as himsa, right? Every entity has a responsibility to maintain its own existence and has a right and a duty to do so, right? So uh, you know if somebody is taking medicine for, whether for treatment, or where they're using the medicine for as a tool for agriculture, right? Here everywhere the intention is not to harm anybody, right? The intention is for our survival, for our continuity of our own existence, right? For that purpose we have to kill some other living being, and that is inevitable. Every time we breathe, every time we take a step, every time we do anything, there are thousands of organisms that are getting killed, and the intention behind those, behind the breath, behind the step, behind the movement, is not to kill other beings, right? The intention is to maintain our own existence. So right, so the intention is very important. This lack of understanding of the meaning of ahimsa leads to various types of misunderstandings, right? With those misunderstandings, it's impossible to follow ahimsa, right? It just leads to inevitable hypocrisy, because the meaning of the word is not understood properly, right? So the meaning of the words in yoga and everything in life, right, so is very important, and this whole yoga is a science of life. So we have to define our terms, right? So we need to understand what exactly they mean, right? Okay, uh, let's actually go on to take the next paragraph, Bhagini.
Yes,
Okay,
Bhagini.
Bhagini. Oh, Shubhra Jyoti
Shubham
Bhagini, you are
Bhagini is
there.
there, I think.
Yes,
You want to take the
namaskar,
next one?
Bhagini.
Namaskar, Bhagini. Yeah, take it.
As a result of clash and cohesion, within the physical structure of every entity, and also for the maintenance of structural solidity at every moment. A process of formation and deformation is always taking place. Rice is obtained from paddy, and is there no life in paddy? Paddy and sprout. It is also capable of reproduction. For the preservation of the physical body, you prepare rice by killing the paddy. Do you have any intention to harm anybody while preparing rice? It is the scene that life depends on other forms of life for its very existence. There is no question of ahimsa or ahimsa here. If this is conceived as
Himsa
ahimsa,
or ahimsa here. There's no question of himsa or ahimsa here.
yes, forgive me. If this is conceived as ahimsa, living beings will have to subsist on brisk sand and stone. Even breathing will have to be stopped, or one will have to commit suicide. Again, the first line, clash and cohesion with the physical structure of every entity, and also for maintenance of structural solidity. A process of formation and deformation is always taking place. Okay, so they are say, they have given example like the rice is obtained from the paddy. So if rice, so if there was no any life in paddy, then it was not possible. Paddy has life; it can sprout, and it can also reproduce. And we have to kill the paddy and eat the rice, but we don't have any intention to harm anybody while preparing the rice. And we can see that our life depend on others existence also. So in that situation, there is no question of ahimsa or hinsa. If we think like that we don't have to kill paddy because it also living, then we have to live on brisk sand and stone, and breathing also we have to stop, and then we will die automatically. The first line I cannot understand, Praveen. Please
Yeah,
explain.
yeah. So, if we look at the Srishti Chakra, right, every jiva there is a gati, there is a movement that is happening in every jiva. Every jiva struggles in this universe, and through struggle, it is gradually processing from one level to another. So, like for instance, if you take a monkey, right, a monkey is a monkey is a monkey is a monkey is a monkey, and then suddenly one day it becomes a human being. So, there is a gradual evolution, there is a gradual progress, there is a struggle, right? So slowly there is a struggle, and there is a change in the physical structure, there is a change in the mental structure, and eventually it gets a new structure. So this formation, this process of formation and deformation is always taking place. The change is always taking place, right? Through struggle, through clash and cohesion, through struggle, through sangarsha, there is a change in the physical structure, and there is a progress. So that is what the first line talks about, right? So the process of formation and deformation is always taking place. The sense behind this is that rice plant is dying or is being uprooted in order to get that plant so that we can get rice, right? So that is the process of deformation in order for the process of formation of cells in the human body. So there's a deformation of the paddy so that we can take the rice and we can use that rice to form cells in the human body or the body of a goat or whoever is eating the plant, right? The cells in the plant are destroyed and taking the new form within the body of animal or human being who is consuming that plant, right? I think the point is clear. So people cannot live on brick and stone. If it were to do that, it was possible to do that, then it would be a different thing, right? Because then we could just live on something which is more basic than plants, right? Stone is also made of that purusha, right? But stone is less developed. They have a mind which is in sushupta avastha, which is in the dormant state. So stone is less developed than plants, right? But we cannot live on bricks and stone. So eating plants is completely the proper approach and is not at all against the principle of ahimsa, right? So that is what this paragraph is actually saying, that for preservation of our human body, we need to consume something, and we cannot consume stones. So what is the proper thing that we can consume? Compared to animals, plants are less developed. So what we should consume is that which is very less developed. That we should not consume something that has progressed in the Srishti Chakra. Right? If we consume something that has progressed in the Srishti Chakra, that means you are denying the opportunity for that jiva to progress forward. On the other hand, if you look at the plants, they haven't progressed much. They are very less developed. And since we have to survive and we have to progress forward, therefore there is no harm in eating plants. Right? So that is what this paragraph is talking about. So why don't you take the next paragraph also, Shubham, Subrajoti Padmi?
Yes, excellent. It is, however, very necessary to remember two things in respect of edibles. First, as far as possible, articles of food must be selected from among those items in which development of consciousness is comparatively little. That is, if vegetables are available, animals should not be slaughtered. Secondly, under all circumstances, before killing any animals having developed or underdeveloped consciousness, it must be considered whether it is possible to live in a healthy body without taking such life. So during eating, we need to consider two things. First, we should select our food from where there is a lesser development of consciousness. For example, in vegetables, if vegetables are available, in vegetables there is lesser consciousness compared to slaughtering animals. So we should prefer vegetables. And uh, secondly, the animals having consciousness, and like before killing any animal, we have to consider, is it possible to live without taking lives, or it's like not possible, then that case is also valid. We have to minimize the loss of consciousness, or someone living.
Yeah, nicely said. Nicely said, Bhagini. So the point over here is that this paragraph is talking about development of consciousness, right? So where the development of consciousness is less in the Srishti Chakra, we know that from 6 o'clock onwards, the jivas are getting developed, and initially we have the less developed jivas, where they have the least development of consciousness. So the plant kingdom has the less developed consciousness than anything in the animal kingdom, and all of the animal kingdom has less developed consciousness compared to human beings. So when we are choosing things to eat, right, we have to choose things which have less consciousness, right? Then what is the thing that we can actually choose is we have to choose plants and not animals, right? So, and that is what is actually healthy for us also. We are designed to eat plants, right? So if you are living in an environment, supposing you are living in the North Pole, right, there, several years ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, where in the North Pole you do not get access to plants, then you don't have any choice. If you don't have access to plants and you have to survive, then you don't have any choice but you have to eat fish or something like that at that point in time, because you don't have any option. Then it is not against ahimsa to eat fish. But where you have an option and where plants are available to eat, then in order to survive, you have to eat only the plants and not animals. But if you're living in North Pole and you don't have access to plants, then for surviving, if you were to eat fish, and then that is not against ahimsa, right? Because you have a right to survive, right? So if now in today's world, vegetables are delivered all over the world, right? So everybody has access to vegetables. So nobody can say that, I'm going to survive on animals because, plants are not available or it is difficult, right? If plants are available, then definitely we have to eat plants, right? If you have access to vegetables, then you have no right to eat animals. then if you do, even if you have access to vegetables and if you eat animals, then you're going against the principle of ahimsa. Okay, let's just take one last paragraph. Pushpalata Bhagini.
The human body is constituted of innumerable living cells. These cells develop and grow with the help of similar living entities. The nature of your living cells will be formed in accordance with the type of food you take. Ultimately, all these together will affect your mind to some extent. If the cells of the human body grow on rotten and bad-smelling food, or the raw, or on the fresh flesh of animals, in which tendencies mean tendencies predominate, it is but natural that the mind will have a tendency of meanness. The policy of eating without due consideration whatever is available cannot be supported in any case, even though there may not be a question of himsa or ahimsa. It should not be a policy to do what you wish. You must perform actions after due thought. For continued subsistence of a policy will have to be adopted for taking food, otherwise it will be against the code of aparigraha. What aparigraha means will be explained later. So, leave about ahimsa or himsa. The body, which is constituted of innumerable living cells, when it needs to be given certain living entities. So if you take nice plant food or some food which is, again, say Satvik, cells are going to be growing very well. But if you take the food which has the mean qualities, like food from the animals, the cells are likely to develop the qualities of meanness, and so there is no use in coming out as a nice person or a person with morals. So here the question of himsa or ahimsa doesn't come. It is the policy on how you take your food with due thought. So to have subsistence of some policy, a policy should be subsistence. A policy must be adopted not to take any food which is going to make ourselves mean and in a lower form. This is what is explained in this paragraph.
Yes, Pagni, nicely said. So here, right, everything depends on the commitment that one has, right? So there are a lot of people who say this is not possible for me, I can't eat plants, right? This is not possible for me to do so. I have family, I have friends, and sometimes I go for dinner and this and that and all that they say, right? But ultimately this all depends on the commitment one has. If one is committed to proper food, then in certain circumstances one will not take food. If there is no option, then one certainly doesn't take food at that meal, and then later on when they get the opportunity they will take the food, right? So like for instance, if you have to go somewhere and if everybody is eating meat in that place you will not take your food, because the environment is not sattvic. You will not take your food. It's not that you will sit with them and eat the animals and the animal food, right? So it all depends on what commitment you have, right? If you're sincere and you're committed, then you'll make sure your environment is proper. You'll make sure that you're eating the right food, right? You will not be taking the wrong food in the wrong environment, right? There's no need for that. So, and also there is the food has a vibration, right? The vibration of the food determines the vibration of the cells that make up your body and your brain. You have to keep this in mind, then it becomes easy. want to have a sattvic existence, right? So if you're taking tamasic and rajasic things, then it's going to make your entire existence, your existential vibration tamasic or rajasic. So we should avoid those things, right? So the main things are, onion, garlic, mushroom, right? So and all of the animal products, very, very spicy food, right? Very spicy food will be rajasic, not tamasic. We should avoid all of those things. So we should be eating mostly raw fruits and vegetables, right? Then the cells of the body becomes very, very, very sattvic. Then the desire for reaching the infinite, being in communication with the infinite, supreme consciousness, right? That becomes awakened. Right? People wonder why is it that they don't get the feeling of bhakti, the attraction to Paramapurusha. So this is one of the reasons. If they're not taking proper food, right? It's not only the reason, but it's one of the reasons that the cells of the brain become made of the food that we eat. If you're taking heavy food, right, even if it is vegetarian, right, what to speak of non-veg, if you're not taking proper food, then it makes the mind very heavy. It makes the mind lethargic, right? In that situation, the desire for infinite becomes more difficult, right? Doing sadhana becomes difficult, right? So there are 2 points in this paragraph. One is that vibration of the body is determined to a large extent by the vibration of the food one takes, right? And then and second point is that we should have a policy of strict non-compromising attitude with regard to food, right? With regard to what one is going to take and what environment one is going to eat, right? So so that is what this paragraph is talking about. It's talking about what is our commitment, right? Okay, so we will actually stop over here. Do you have any questions or thoughts to share? Okay, so अस्तु, धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.